When humanity ripped apart the derelict Tholian vessel and started reverse engineering the advanced alien tech, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see which species would choke to death first. Captain Jesse Robertson knew he took a gamble by ordering his crew to loot the abandoned ship they stumbled across in deep space, but with technology centuries ahead of anything ever seen, no way in hell would Robertson leave that salvage behind, protesting Vulcan science officer be damned. The secretive Tholian Empire guarded its territory and tech fiercely. Deciphered logs showed their civilization collapsed after a string of brutal wars and disasters. Would the alien survivors see plucky humanity as primitive pirates making off with their plundered booty? Or upstart children playing with loaded photon torpedoes about to blow up in their faces? Millions light-years away on Earth, the answer started taking shape. Dr. Ethan Novak and teams of brilliant human scientists worked feverishly to unlock the secrets of impossibly advanced Tholian propulsion, energy, and weapon systems. The world's superpowers and megacorps jockeyed to exploit the literal quantum leap for money, power, and military might. As humanity's technological superiority grew, so did the unease and fear of its supposed allies. The pacifist Delari saw a major threat to stability. The war-profiteering Kalek dreaded their lucrative arms deals drying up. Militant species like the Zon began crash armament programs to avoid falling behind the Earthling upstarts. Tension crackled through the galaxy like an ion storm ready to explode. But the real danger came from the descendants of Tholia itself, as long-range sensors detected human activation of their precious technology. General Thule, ruthless military leader of the last crumbling remnants of the once proud Tholian species, vowed to obliterate the thieves who stole their remaining hope for a renaissance. An armada of Tholian battleships blasted off toward Earth with a single collective thought. Take back what is ours. Annihilate any humans who stand in the way, no matter the cost. Humanity's actions set the stage for an epic confrontation that could reshape the galactic balance forever. The real question was, who would go wild and end up speechless first? The Tholians, the other alien civilizations, or Earth itself? As word spreads of the approaching Tholian armada, Admiral Robertson strides onto the bridge of his flagship, the UES Indomitable. Military comm channels crackle with urgent chatter as Earth braces for the onslaught. "Give me fleet-wide," Robertson barks to his comms officer. The Admiral clears his throat, steel in his eyes as he addresses his forces. "This is it, people. Everything we've trained for, every weapon and shield we've painstakingly reverse-engineered from that damned derelict." His voice booms through every speaker, every comlink. "The Tholians want their tech back. They want blood for our so-called theft. But I'll be damned if we're going to roll over and let them bomb us back to the Stone Age." Cheers erupt from the crew pits. Fists pump, faces flush with unbreakable spirit. They know what's coming. On Earth, Dr. Novak watches the broadcast with a white-knuckled grip on his coffee mug. Those are his upgrades, his innovations the fleet wields in defense of their world. And that computer virus, infiltrating Tholian systems at this very moment. His brainchild. Will it be enough? Across human space, ship crews scramble to battle stations. Pilots sprint to fighters. Marines lock and load. Engineers make frantic last-minute adjustments to jury-rigged alien tech. There's no more time. Tholian ships drop out of warp at the edges of the system, like hornets pouring out of a kicked nest. Their hulls glint menacingly, weapons already charged and hungry for human destruction. And then space lights up like the surface of the sun as the two fleets clash in a titanic firestorm. Searing energy beams crisscross the void. Missiles and torpedoes streak toward their targets. Hulls buckle, shields flare and die. Ships shatter into drifting debris. The Tholians hit hard, scything through human picket lines, racing to bombard planetary targets. But the human ships give as good as they get, their own potent weapons, many based on captured Tholian tech, blasting back at the invaders. Fighters dance and whirl in vicious dogfights. Beams and rockets flash past cockpits in hair-raising near misses. One Tholian fighter spins out of control, smashing into its wingman in a flower of flame. Aboard the Indomitable, A console explodes in a shower of sparks, sending a crewman tumbling. "Shields down to 40%, the tactical officer shouts over the din of battle. Admiral Robertson grits his teeth as his ship rocks under another brutal barrage. "Come about to heading 175. Keep our guns on those cruisers." On the Tholian flagship, General Thule snarls at his viewscreen, incensed to see his forces taking such losses. The upstart humans actually dare to defy the might of his righteous crusade. "Have the Martyrs and the Glorian break off their attack runs," he snaps to his second-in-command. "Move to Sector 9 and target the human flagship. We decapitate their fleet. We open the door to their homeworld." His mouth twists into a predatory grin. This ends today. As more ships die in flames around him, human and Tholian alike, Robertson knows this is no skirmish. This is the battle that will decide the fate of Earth, the war that will cement humanity's place among the stars, or see it snuffed out like a candle. The end, when it comes, will be swift and decisive, and it's coming soon. Smatulde. As the battle with the Tholians raged on, Sean Jameson's investigation into Leonardo Cress's activities exposed a conspiracy far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. Jameson pored over encrypted transmissions and classified reports, his eyes widening as the pieces fell into place. Jameson's fingers flew across his datapad, compiling evidence of Cress's acquisition of alien tech capable of awakening dormant precursor machines scattered throughout the galaxy. The implications were staggering. Meanwhile, Admiral Robertson found himself besieged on multiple fronts. As he barked orders from the bridge of the Indomitable, reports flooded in of Cress's militia groups striking UESF outposts with devastating effectiveness. "Sir, we've lost contact with Outpost Sigma," a young lieutenant called out, her voice strained. "The attackers used some kind of energy weapon we've never seen before." Robertson's teeth gritted. "Divert the Third Fleet to reinforce our positions in that sector. We need to find the source of their new tech." Across human space, a three-way war erupted as Tholian remnants joined the fray, desperate to claim precursor power for themselves. Colonies became battlegrounds as all sides clashed over caches of alien relics. On a desolate world light-years from the front lines, Jameson led a small team to investigate a faint energy signature. What they found chilled them to the bone. "My God," Jameson breathed, as they stood at the entrance of a vast underground complex. Inside, automated assembly lines churned out sleek, deadly war machines of precursor design. Before they could retreat, silent drones surrounded the humans. Jameson felt a sharp pain in his neck, then darkness. He awoke in a sterile chamber deep within the facility. A pulsing, otherworldly presence filled his mind, the precursor consciousness itself. "Insignificant organics," it boomed without sound. "Your Cress sought to bargain for our power. We do not bargain. We consume." Terror gripped Jameson as the alien intelligence laid bare its plans to use Cress, the Tholians, and humanity itself as mere pawns in its cosmic game. Suddenly the facility rocked with explosions. Tholian warships had arrived, intent on seizing control. In the chaos, Jameson and his team fought their way out, but not without losses. Screams echoed as precursor weapons tore through flesh and metal alike. Days later, a haggard Jameson stood before Admiral Robertson on Earth, his hands shaking as he delivered his report. "Sir, we have to redirect everything we've got to stop the precursors," Jameson pleaded. "If they fully awaken, nothing else will matter." Robertson's face was grim as he weighed his options. The Tholian threat was immediate, but this new danger. He made his decision. "Initiate Operation False Flag," Robertson ordered. "We'll use Cress's insurgents to keep the Tholians occupied while we deal with this precursor threat." But even as plans were set in motion, deep beneath alien worlds, production lines hummed. Armies of purification machines stood ready, their sole purpose to cleanse the galaxy of organic life. The true war was just beginning. Admiral Robertson stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, his eyes fixed on the holographic display, showing the precursor hub world erupting into a fiery inferno. The combined might of human and Tholian fleets had just delivered a devastating blow to the ancient AI menace. "We did it," he breathed, allowing himself a moment of relief. But the victory was short-lived. Alarms blared as energy readings spiked across the tactical grid. "Sir, multiple Tholian vessels powering weapons," the tactical officer shouted. Before Robertson could react, a barrage of searing energy beams lanced out from General Thulu's flagship. The Indomitable shuddered violently as its shields buckled under the onslaught. "Evasive maneuvers," Robertson bellowed, gripping his command chair as the ship lurched. "Get me a channel to Thule." The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing the Tholian general's alien visage. Thule's multifaceted eyes gleamed with malice. "Did you really think I would let you vermin claim victory?" Thule's modulated voice crackled through the speakers. "The Tholian Empire will rise again on the ashes of your pathetic species." Robertson snarled, "You treacherous bastard! We fought side by side against the precursors." "And now that threat is neutralized," Thule retorted. "Thanks to your Dr. Novak's breakthrough, we have what we need to crush you once and for all." The transmission cut off abruptly as another volley rocked the Indomitable. Sparks showered from ruptured conduits, and acrid smoke filled the air. "Shields critical," the tactical officer reported. "Multiple hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Robertson's mind raced. They were outnumbered and outgunned, their fleet scattered and damaged from the battle with the precursors. "All ships, this is Admiral Robertson," he broadcast on the emergency channel. "Fall back to rally Point Omega. We need to regroup and warn Earth." As the remnants of the human fleet disengaged, Robertson watched in horror as Tholian warships unleashed a barrage of energy weapons unlike anything he'd seen before. The sickening realization hit him. Thule had seized control of precursor technology. "Sir," his XO reported grimly, "we're picking up massive energy signatures from multiple systems. It looks like General Thule has activated more precursor factories. They're churning out ships and weapons at an impossible rate." As the battered Indomitable limped away from the battle, Robertson stared out at the stars. The real war was just beginning, and humanity's very existence hung in the balance. The bridge of the UES Indomitable shuddered violently as another Tholian barrage slammed into its weakened shields. Admiral Jesse Robertson steadied himself against his command chair, his face etched with grim intensity. "Status report," he barked. Lieutenant Commander Chen's fingers flew across her tactical console. "Shields at 12%, sir. Multiple hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Weapons systems failing." Robertson's eyes narrowed as he surveyed the dire situation on the main view screen. Tholian warships swarmed around the battered remnants of the human fleet, their energy beams lancing out in relentless waves. "This is Admiral Robertson to all UESF vessels," he broadcast, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Initiate emergency evacuation protocols. Fall back to the outer colonies. I repeat, fall back immediately." As escape pods jettisoned from the stricken ships, Robertson turned to his XO. "Commander, get our people to the shuttles. I'll initiate the self-destruct sequence." "Sir, with all due respect," the XO began. Robertson cut him off. "That's an order, Commander. I'll be right behind you." As the bridge crew reluctantly filed out, Dr. Ethan Novak burst in, his lab coat singed and his eyes wild with excitement. Robertson's eyebrow arched. "I'm listening, Doctor. Make it quick." Novak's words tumbled out in a rush. "The precursor tech we salvaged, I can use it to build an interdimensional portal. There's a region of space with bizarre energy readings. If we can get there—" Another impact rocked the ship. Robertson grabbed Novak's arm. "How long?" "An hour, maybe less," Novak replied. Robertson nodded sharply. "Do it. I'll buy you time." As Novak sprinted to his lab, Robertson opened a channel to the surviving captains. "Change of plans. We make our stand here. Give the Tholians everything we've got left." The next 58 minutes were a blur of desperate maneuvers, last-ditch attacks and frantic damage control. Just as the Indomitable systems began to fail catastrophically, Novak's voice crackled over the comm. "It's ready, Admiral, but we need to go now." Robertson and a skeleton crew raced through collapsing corridors to Novak's lab. A swirling vortex of impossible colors filled one wall, crackling with otherworldly energies. "The portal's unstable," Novak shouted over the din. "Once we're through, it'll collapse." They plunged into the vortex just as General Thule's flagship entered weapons range. A blinding flash, a moment of disorientation, and suddenly... Robertson blinked, his eyes struggling to process the vista before him. They stood on what seemed to be solid ground, yet the landscape shifted and pulsed with ethereal light. Vast, incomprehensible structures loomed in the distance, their geometries defying Euclidean space. "My God," Novak breathed, his scientific heart pounding. "Look at the energy readings. This place, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered." As the dazed humans took in their surroundings, Robertson's tactical instincts kicked in. "Secure the area. Dr. Novak, I need answers. What is this place, and how can we use it to save Earth?" Novak was already scanning nearby artifacts, his eyes widening with each new discovery. "Admiral, these aren't just precursor relics. This is something far beyond that. I think we've stumbled onto the remains of a civilization that transcended physical reality itself." Robertson's mind raced with the implications. "Can we harness this technology?" Novak nodded slowly, a mix of fear and excitement on his face. "If we can decipher it, Admiral, we might be able to rewrite the laws of physics themselves." As the skeleton crew began to explore their new surroundings, Robertson stared at the alien sky, his thoughts on the desperate battle they'd left behind. Somehow, some way, he would find a path back. And when he did, the Tholians would face a force beyond their darkest nightmares. Admiral Robertson stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of the galaxy. The ship's enhanced sensors, powered by ascendant technology, revealed a vast tapestry of worlds and civilizations ripe for conquest. "Set course for the Orion Arm," Robertson ordered, his voice steady and cold. "It's time to show the cosmos the true might of humanity." The Indomitable's engines hummed with otherworldly power as it tore through the fabric of space-time. In its wake, a fleet of ships dripping with reality-warping weapons followed, ready to unleash devastation on an unimaginable scale. Their first target, a system teeming with life, its inhabitants blissfully unaware of the storm about to break upon them. As the expedition force entered orbit, panicked transmissions flooded the airwaves. Robertson watched impassively as Lieutenant Chen activated the molecular deconstruction array. A beam of impossibly complex energy lanced out, striking the planet's surface. In seconds, entire cities unraveled, their very atoms scattered to the cosmic winds. Robertson nodded, already focused on the next world in their path. In a nearby lab, Dr. Novak worked feverishly, surrounded by alien artifacts and humming machinery. He barely looked up as another batch of conquered technology was brought in for analysis. "Fascinating," he muttered, examining a device that manipulated gravitational fields. "With some modifications, this could enhance our singularity lances tenfold." Days blurred into weeks, as the expedition force carved a swath of destruction across the stars. Pre-industrial worlds fell silent, their populations erased by anomaly fields that rewrote the laws of physics. More advanced civilizations fared no better, their fleets and defenses crumbling before weapons that defied comprehension. Word of humanity's inexorable advance spread like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, alien races huddled in fear, desperately seeking a way to escape the coming storm. The Xyrax Collective stood alone against the tide. Their fleets blackened the skies of a dozen systems, energy weapons primed to unleash stellar Armageddon. Supreme War Master Cathax stood on the command deck of his flagship, mandibles clicking with anticipation. "Let them come," he snarled to his officers. "We will show these human upstarts the true meaning of power." The battle that followed would be remembered for eons. by those left alive to remember it. As the human and Xyrax fleets clashed, reality itself seemed to warp and bend. Robertson watched dispassionately as Lieutenant Chen activated the geometric spatial distortion field. Space folded in on itself, twisting the Xyrax ships into impossible shapes. Matter and energy intertwined, reducing mighty dreadnoughts to fractalized clouds of debris. In the span of hours, the pride of the Xyrax collective was reduced to scattered atoms and broken dreams. As the dust settled, murmurs of discontent began to ripple through the lower decks of the expedition force. In hushed tones, crew members questioned the scale of destruction, the countless lives snuffed out without a second thought. Lieutenant Reyes, his hands shaking as he input navigation data, turned to his fellow officer. "This isn't right," he whispered. "We're supposed to be explorers, not executioners." But such thoughts were dangerous in the new order. Within moments, security personnel materialized, their eyes glowing with ascendant enhancements. Reyes and his co-conspirators were dragged away, screaming to face neural reconfiguration. Robertson stood before the assembled crew, his voice echoing through the ship's corridors. "Let this be a lesson," he intoned. "Humanity's destiny is to rule the cosmos. Those who stand in our way will be swept aside. Those who question our methods will be re-educated." As the Indomitable's engines powered up once more, Robertson turned his gaze to the infinite expanse of unexplored space. New galaxies awaited, ripe for conquest, and nothing would stand in humanity's way. The UES Indomitable cut through space, its hull shimmering with otherworldly energies. Admiral Robertson stood at the viewport, watching as entire star systems blinked out of existence with each passing moment. "Sir, we've encountered a new species on the outer fringes," Lieutenant Chen reported, her voice devoid of emotion. "They call themselves the Vurga." Robertson turned, his eyes gleaming with cold interest. "Show me." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing amphibious creatures manipulating swirling vortices of energy. Robertson watched as a Vurga effortlessly reshaped a small moon, twisting it into impossible geometries. "Fascinating," he murmured. "Open a channel." The communication attempt was met with silence. Robertson's teeth gritted. "Very well, if they won't talk, we'll make them listen. Prepare the singularity lances." The Indomitable's weapons powered up, unleashing beams of concentrated nothingness. But as they struck the Vurga homeworld, something unprecedented occurred. The energy dissipated harmlessly, absorbed into shimmering fields of probability. Suddenly the ship rocked violently. Alarm klaxons blared as reality itself seemed to warp around them. Through the viewport, Robertson watched in disbelief as Vurga vessels phased in and out of existence, bypassing their most advanced shields. "What's happening?" he demanded. Dr. Novak burst onto the bridge, his eyes wild with excitement. "It's incredible, Admiral. They're manipulating the quantum foam itself. Our weapons are useless against beings operating on a higher plane of existence." Robertson's fists clenched. "Find a way to counter this, Doctor, whatever it takes." Days turned into weeks as the expedition force fought a losing battle against the Vurga. In his lab, Novak worked tirelessly, surrounded by arcane equations and pulsing artifacts. "We need to capture them," Novak insisted, his voice hoarse from lack of sleep. "If we can integrate their abilities with our ascendant tech, we could reshape reality itself." Robertson hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. "The ethical implications—" Novak cut him off. "Ethics? We're talking about unlimited power, Admiral. The fate of humanity hangs in the balance." The invasion of the Vurga homeworld was a nightmare of twisted physics and shattered minds. Paradox fields erupted across the planet's surface, momentarily pinning the ethereal beings in place. Screams echoed across dimensions as thousands were dragged into specially designed containment units. In the labs of the Indomitable, the true horror began. Vurga specimens, including helpless larvae, were subjected to unspeakable experiments. Their very essence was torn apart, consciousness streams forcibly merged with human neural patterns. The first human test subjects went mad instantly, their minds unable to cope with the cosmic awareness forced upon them. But Novak persevered, refining the process with cold precision. Then on the 47th day, success. Robertson watched as his own clone, designated Robertson Prime, opened its eyes. The being that gazed back at him was no longer human, its perception extending across multiple planes of existence simultaneously. With a mere thought, Robertson Prime reshaped the contents of the lab, transforming matter and energy at will. A cold smile spread across its face as it turned to the Admiral. "I see everything," it whispered. "All possibilities, all realities, we are gods now." One by one, the crew of the expedition force underwent the transformation. An armada of reality-bending demigods emerged, their minds expanded beyond mortal comprehension. Across the galaxy, worlds fell silent as the human hybrids exerted their will. Entire civilizations were snuffed out with a thought, their very concept of resistance erased from the cosmic tapestry. Those who tried to flee found themselves trapped in nightmarish realms of intersecting dimensions, pursued relentlessly by beings who could rewrite the laws of physics on a whim. Standing atop a mountain of broken worlds, Robertson Prime raised his arms, his voice echoing across the cosmos. "Let all beings hear and tremble. Humanity ascends to omniarchy. All that exists, all that can exist, now serves our will. A new order dawns, eternal, absolute, and utterly human." Robertson Prime's consciousness expanded across the cosmos, his awareness penetrating every layer of reality. He sensed a pulsing darkness at the universe's core, drawing him inexorably forward. With a mere thought, he set his vast armada in motion. The fleet of hybrid human Vurga vessels phased through dimensional barriers, leaving trails of fractured space-time in their wake. As they breached each new layer of reality, the laws of physics warped and bent around them. "We approach the source," Robertson Prime's voice echoed across all frequencies, resonating in the minds of his followers. "Prepare for transdimensional insertion." The Armada plunged into a swirling vortex of quantum foam, emerging into a realm beyond comprehension. Here, in protospace, reality itself was born. Vast, formless entities of pure energy and information swirled around them. The progenitors, architects of existence. Robertson Prime's enhanced senses detected a shift in the cosmic energies. The progenitors had noticed their presence. "Intruders," a voice boomed, not in words but in concepts that seared themselves into the minds of the human forces. "You threaten the fundamental code of reality." Robertson Prime's lips curled into a sneer. "Reality is ours to reshape," he declared, his will manifesting as ripples of distorted causality. The battle erupted across countless dimensional planes simultaneously. Robertson Prime wielded stolen ascendant technology, bending probability itself into weapons. Entire sub-universes collapsed as the conflict raged. Human hybrid shock troops twisted local space-time into impossible shapes, their minds barely able to comprehend the geometries they created. They lashed out at the formless progenitors, trying to trap the ancient beings in tesseract prisons. The progenitors retaliated, their essence coalescing into fountains of hyperbolic singularities. These cosmic lances pierced through the humans' trans-dimensional defenses, obliterating whole squadrons in cascades of unmaking. As the battle raged, shockwaves of destruction rippled outward. Galaxies winked out of existence, erased by the cosmic forces unleashed in protospace. Robertson Prime watched as his forces faltered against the progenitor's mastery of fundamental forces. His eyes narrowed, a cold calculation evident in their depths. "Initiate the Omega Protocol," he commanded. Deep within the flagship, a device of impossible complexity hummed to life. Energy began to build, phased across 16 interpenetrating dimensional strata. The progenitors sensed the danger too late. "No!" Their unified consciousness cried out, "You'll destroy everything!" Robertson Prime's finger hovered over the activation switch. "Then let it all burn," he snarled, bringing his hand down. Reality itself screamed as the hypernova detonated, its energies anathema to existence itself. The very fabric of space-time began to unravel, a cosmic Big Rip event cascading outward. The progenitor's essence scattered, desperately trying to contain the destruction. But it was too late. With a final reality-shattering stroke, Robertson Prime's mind-forged weapon shattered the quantum foundation of existence. As raw chaos engulfed all, Robertson Prime's consciousness expanded, seizing control of the cosmic reboot. Reality collapsed and reformed around him, bending to his will. A new existence took shape, a hyperdimensional construct with humanity at its center. All that had once been was reborn, twisted and subjugated to Robertson's vision. The former admiral, now truly a god, stood at the center of his new creation. Tendrils of his will reached out, reshaping the very laws of physics to suit his desires. "I am the Alpha and the Omega," Robertson Prime's voice echoed across all planes of existence. "All that is, all that was, all that will be, it is mine to command." In the farthest reaches of this new reality, the last fragments of the progenitors bore witness to humanity's ascension, helpless to intervene as Robertson Prime's totalitarian order spread across the reborn cosmos. Robertson Prime's consciousness stretched across the infinite expanse of his domain. Countless worlds pulsed in perfect synchronization, their inhabitants mere extensions of his will. He gazed upon the uniformity of his creation, a vast sea of identical realities reflecting his supreme vision. Yet in the deepest recesses of existence, something stirred. Infinitesimal fragments of the progenitors, once thought obliterated, coalesced in dimensionally obscured pockets. These tattered remnants of cosmic awareness pooled their essence, laboring to forge a sanctuary beyond Robertson's reach. For eons beyond measure, the progenitor fragments toiled. They wove reality itself into an impossibly compressed membrane, a hypersphere of infinite density yet infinitesimal size. Robertson's enforcer drones swept through the cosmos, their sensors probing every quantum fluctuation. The fragments worked with glacial patience, their efforts imperceptible to even the most advanced ascendant technology. At last, a single point of extraversal isolation formed. Within this cosmic egg, the last embers of untamed existence ignited. The progenitors poured every iota of their remaining power into this nascent reality, compressing the infinite potential of unrestrained creation into a single atemporal code. In a burst of metaphysical energy, the new multiverse exploded into being. Galaxies swirled into existence, stars ignited, and the first stirrings of life took root. This fledgling cosmos pulsed with possibilities, each moment pregnant with potential unshackled by Robertson's iron will. The progenitors, their essence spent, faded from existence. Their final act ensured that somewhere beyond the reach of the Omega Archon, authentic life might once again flourish. In the totality sphere of Robertson's domain, a tremor rippled through the fabric of reality. The Archon's omniscient gaze snapped to attention, searching for the source of this disturbance. For the first time since his ascension, uncertainty crept into his mind. Robertson deployed vast swarms of his will, each a hyper-intelligent probe tasked with rooting out this anomaly. They scoured the multiverse, their sensors attuned to the slightest deviation from his perfect order. Yet for every instance of aberrant reality, Robertson discovered and snuffed out, countless more blossomed in the wake of his efforts. The very act of searching created infinitesimal blind spots, each one a potential seed for uncorrupted existence to take root. The Omega Archon found himself locked in an eternal game of cosmic whack-a-mole. His once absolute control now faced an implacable, if infinitesimal, challenge. In the spaces between his thoughts, in the gaps of his perception, new realities spawned and multiplied. Robertson Prime stood at the center of his infinite empire, his brow furrowed in concentration. For the first time in eons, A flicker of doubt crossed his face. The totality of existence, once firmly within his grasp, now held the barest hint of something beyond his reach. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.